Welcome to The Leaders Who Care, a podcast powered by Dynamis Group. We are here to give the stage and support to those committed to create a positive and lasting impact, way beyond the profits and margins, the leaders of the world who care for others and serve a bigger purpose. Join us on the journey of creating a better, more caring world. And now to your host, Marian Tamalkov.
Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. We are on a mission today to bring together more caring leaders from around the world that can share their stories and be an inspiration for all of us. And today we have a special guest and a wonderful a leader and ambassador of peace, and somebody who's actually been through very tough times and been actually in a war and managed to escape a war, and is here today to share her story and what inspired her to do what she does today. We have the privilege to welcome Jin Dawod. Jin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marian, and I'm so glad to be here with you. It's such a pleasure for me to be here and share with you my story and my experience.
Jin, I can't wait to hear what inspired you to become a peace ambassador, peace therapist. What does it mean? Tell us, how did it all start?
It's a long story. If you want me to start from like zero, I would start like from when I was just starting to go to from middle school to high school in Syria, and that's when the war started. And I was like 14, 15 years old, and it was like we could not imagine or believe like this war would be a real thing. We were like always, all the time waiting, this will end today, this will end tomorrow, and this will end next week, because it was like unbelievable thing for us. And we just, my father take the decision of getting out of our home when the bomb from like the aeroplanes started to bomb, but after they targeted our home, after like ISIS just started to take place in our neighbor's home, because they get out of their homes before like they would be killed. So after our home started to be a target and the aeroplanes started to bomb our home, that's when my father said like it's enough and we need to get out of this home, because like even so half of our like my room's walls was destroyed, and it was like open directly to the street when the bomb have came. But we were really lucky that day, because it was windy. I don't know, maybe the aeroplane had a missed he missed the target that time, and it like the bomb came right in our garden, not to our like department, not our apartment. But after the decision also, we could not get out of the home for a totally 1.5 months. We waited for the right time. That was like the day when like I'm not like explaining it in details, because if I detailed it, maybe we will need 4 or 5 hours. But usually the ISIS like teams were waiting for the aeroplanes in a totally dark night, even though there were no electricity, there is no water, there is no like internet, there is nothing. Even so, like when I have touched my phone's screen, it's that dark. They even realized that there is someone in that home which is trying to open a light, and they like shooted our home and said, you need to make that light off, because they were waiting for the aeroplanes in the totally dark night, because if the aeroplane has came, they will see the lights of it, so they will be ready to know where they should shoot. But one day at 4 a.m. The aeroplane came, and the ISIS was not prepared. It was a surprise for them, and they started to run and find their guns, and their there was even big uh, uh, weapons which were able to fight the aeroplanes, even so each time they were shooting the aeroplane, everywhere was shaking as an earthquake. So my father said, this is our moment, we need to get out of the home in this 10 minutes, while they are not they are trying to prepare to shoot the aeroplane. And it was 4 a.m. and we get out of the home by our pajamas. We ran out to the car, and my father drove as speed as he can, and that's when we get out of the city. I'm briefly saying the other part of the story, which when we came to Turkey, we came from Syria to Turkey. That was the only place which would be safe for us. We left my big brother in a different city. He was in a different city, and we couldn't bring him with us. We were our minds, our heart were with him, but he could not came, and we could not also bring him because the borders between cities in Syria after war is more difficult 1,000 billion times if from borders between countries, because there is so many different groups, and each group has a different belief and a different different goal of what they are doing, and it's not important if you are supporting them or not. He is a young man, and if they saw someone in this age, they will take them to their armor. That's why he could not get out of his home at all. He was studying university at that time. When we have came to Turkey, we have came between between the mines, so we should take very carefully baby steps while we are going from side to the other side. And my father they were people on the borders who were telling people this place, this road is a safe road where you can go from one side, from Syria to Turkey. And this safe place is also this person was taking money from people to be able to show them which road is safe. In fact, we heard that there was a family which were a bomb was opened while they were getting from side to the other side, unfortunately. So we were also was not able to trust them because they are not all honest, but that was the only chance for us. If we want to be alive, if we stay there, there is no chance. But if we get to the borders, there is a chance, even though if it was a hard chance. We did get the borders, and I was in a mixed feel. I had mixed feelings at that moment. I thought like, okay, we are all alive, and but my father had a phone call. One of our neighbors called him and said, like the moment we crossed the borders, he called and he said like our apartment was destroyed, and because it was a target already. Um, so I was thinking if we stayed like for one more day, we would be all inside of that home and we would be all be dead. So I felt some kind of lucky, some kind of like sad for my brother. He's still there. Some kind like I thought like now the war is ended and everything would be better. But I didn't realize that the war has ended from outside, but it has just begun inside of me, and that was where I started to have some psychological problems from the things from the war that I have. So because there were a lot of like non-humanitarian things going on there. For the most simple thing, like if someone smoked, his arm would be cutted. Like this is the most simple thing, and there were like heads all across like the places, all the streets. Like they were like parts of human bodies. I could see from the window of my room. So I didn't realize like I would have this problem after war, but um, because of this situation, me and my sisters, we didn't want, in fact, get out of the home for a totally 1 year, and but after a while, with the support of my family, and thanks for them, like because I feel really lucky for having a mom and a dad who are very understanding like them. uh, it passed, and because my father have done all of his investments to try to build our future in Syria, he used to take like homes and real estates and things like that, and all for like this is for my daughters, my son, and things like that. But when we have came to Turkey, we lost everything, and we started to hear one by one the homes or like the villas and or all the place like being destroyed one by one. So the only thing like even so my father was giving a big importance to our education, so he decided to do all of his investment to our education, to our health. So I wanted, at that time, I wanted to do as much as I can to make my father proud, as he is like doing all of this for us, and he's trying as he can to be strong, because it's not easy what he have been through. That's where I started to continue my education. It was a really tough process for me because I had really different exams, and I was one of the first groups who have came from Syria to Turkey, and they were like very unstable like education process for Syrians, because there were a lot of big amount of people who have came, and they were not sure what they should do for us to be able to continue our education. So I had so many different exams. It's not like this right now. Now there is like a system. And it's easy like because you know the steps, but at that time everything was ambiguous, everything was like unclear. So I had to take one exam, and after a while this exam, I'm hearing like this exam is not the one, so I had to take another one, and after a while so I studied for the Turkish high school, I studied for the Iraqi high school, I studied for the Syrian high school, I also studied for SAT. I studied like I also get into all of these exams for all the high schools that I was studying. Like in 2 years, I prepared for 11 exams, and I studied really very hard at that time to be able like to continue our life. Like I also had some hope for new beginnings. So I did whatever it takes me. I had to study long times a day, long hours a day.
Jane, what a story! Just listening to you and really what you just gone through. Just really, it's wow. What a journey! It makes you appreciate that. What is the impact of a war and when there's conflict? And I know you're very passionate about conflict prevention. You
Yeah.
even spoke about on the Young World Summit recently. Tell us more about this. How could we prevent those conflicts? Because
Yeah, for sure. For me, like after I have done all of this, like exams process and all of these difficulties at the second class of the university, and I was like also a curious student. I took like many different conferences and trainings, which was like even unrelevant to my department. I was studying computer engineering. So one day on like an entrepreneurship program, the trainer was telling like in entrepreneurship we are doing something which is making people's life easier, and you can start thinking about this by from your own problems. And that was why like the moment I had the idea of peace therapist. In my opinion, by peace therapist. We can do something for the conflict which is going on in the world. Uh, if, as you asked me, like how can we prevent conflicts? There is three kinds of conflicts, in my opinion, and in fact, like there is conflicts between countries, which we call it wars. The other one, conflicts between people, which is called argument. And also the third kind of conflict is between the person and himself,
mm,
which is a psychological problem, which is could be trauma, which could be everything which making you feeling that you are not feeling your inner peace. So if we need to prevent conflict, we need to start from ourselves. We need to find our inner peace. If we find our inner peace, that's what I am trying to do with Peace Therapist, with like its platform that is providing psychological support online by expert psychologists for now in three languages: English, Arabic, and Turkish. And it could be anonymous, as you know, like people in Middle East, people, some cities in Turkey, and they are feeling unsafe when they are going to a psychologist. So it's anonymous, totally security and safe place for people to talk with psychologists and with the psychologist and have a safe place to be able to connect with themselves to and for them a chance to understand themselves. And that is the key where you can start build peace in the world, being good for yourself, reaching to your inner peace. If you are good with yourself, you are good with the most close people in your life, which could be your relatives, your mom, your dad, your family, your friends. Uh, if you are building this with your nearest people, and everyone is doing this with himself and with the nearest community in between themselves, we are also being a peaceful community. A peaceful community is making a peaceful city, and peaceful city will make a peaceful countries. All is starting from inside of ourselves. All is starting from our inner peace. Inner peace will lead us to the peace in the world.
you know, Jane, this is such a wise thing what you just lay out. It's one of the wisest really I've heard in many years. And in fact, the highest, someone said to me, and I think is in scripture too, that the highest currency for success is peace, inner peace.
Yeah.
So that inner peace, but the challenge is we live in a world that it's probably we have the best opportunities ever to develop and grow. Of course, we have conflicts as well, and those conflicts are happening often because several groups of people may not have that inner peace or may have a misunderstanding, communication challenges, and they cannot be overcome. So that's what you just laid out is fantastic, but it's not easy to find inner peace. What is your advice? How do you
Yeah.
find inner peace?
Uh, in fact, that is why like I thought to build like peace therapist. Like taking psychological support is a way to find ourselves, to know ourselves better, to uh, make a step to make which makes us closer to our inner peace. Other thing we can do like doing some exercise, getting out of all of the negative feelings and negative thoughts that we have. uh, Surrounding ourselves with the people we love is also like a way which will make us closer for inner peace. But wish there's a lot of things that could make it easier, but it is all upon you. The person with himself should like think and make a connection with himself, trying to understand himself. Maybe someone can take like some notes to make it easier for himself, and they should not forget what he is experiencing through something he like, what he is experiencing through something he don't like. So that is what I am thinking about.
Have you personally, have you, you've gone through a lot of trauma and a lot of difficult moments. Have you found peace for yourself?
I think like I am close to reach my inner peace. In fact, it is a process. It is a non-ending process, but there is a status where you can feel now I am feeling stable. I feel like I know myself better. I feel like I know which will make a positive effect, which will make a negative effect on me, on my psychology. uh, because life is a thing that where you cannot expect what you will experience. So you have to like someone the person have to uh, the more the person knows himself, the more he will pass the difficulties easier.
You know, I'm very interested in that topic, and I'm also searching myself a lot of those answers. And the highest authority, the only one and the only way I found peace was through God. For me personally, you know, that's what I discovered. And when I listened to the scripture, when I listened to this advice and that care, you know, of what Jesus did, for example, to give his life for others is it's just for me one of the greatest care, and that personally has been the thing that has given me a lot of peace and in difficult moments and times. But it's really a journey, and you got to go and discover and find out all the different things and study, see what other people do, what gives them that inner peace as well. But you onto something very special, Jane, and you just made us such a. How would we have peace in the world if we don't have peace with ourselves? It
Yeah.
starts with us, and I think this is really something I really appreciate and honor what you do. You, as a young leader, how do you balance everything that's going on in your life, and what is your advice for the Gen Z generation, how and the young leaders of tomorrow?
In fact, there is an answer like we can hear it from a lot of people, like organizing time. But for me, it's not only organizing our time. It's not only time management. We should have the ability to do our emotional management. We need to make our emotional intelligence in a really high state, which there is a lot of ways where we can like develop our emotional intelligence. That is like the real most important thing, in my opinion, for someone who is like maybe busy, someone who have goals, someone who want to make a change in the world, someone even so like could be finding the peace for himself. It is like the biggest thing, in fact. Finding like a solution for him or her family, whatever it is, like the thing that we are trying to make it better. We need like to find the real way by our like emotional management. If we managed our emotions, if we managed our thoughts, if we managed everything that is going on, that is like the way where would we be closer for what we want to do. Like everything matters. Every thought you are thinking about matters. So thinking positively really affects in a big way, in a positive way, the things that we want to do in our life. But also we should have the ability of letting go. There is like, if we accept or not, some things in our lives that we could not change. Maybe it's from the past, maybe it's from the future, maybe it's like have been like this all the time. But there is things in life also that would not be able to change. So even though we should have like the develop our like
You,
ability of letting go of things that don't have the opportunity to change.
thank you. It's a lot of great advice here. Indeed, it's and hopefully there's some more detailed advice on the app and the peace therapy therapists. Is there like a guides or any best practices there, or how could they find out more if they want to?
In fact, we are doing some posts on our Instagram, LinkedIn, or on Facebook and on social media on small tips, life-changing small tips. It's sometimes like uh, changing your routine in life, like because how you see yourself in the future is how you are living right now. Tell me about your routine, everyday daily routine today. I will know your 5 years later from
Um,
now. So it's really important what we are doing right now, what everything, like from the smallest behavior to the biggest one, everything matters. So we are like posting positive things like this on Instagram. It's Peace Therapist, as it's the website of it, peacetherapist.com.
Excellent. You involved in supporting women with entrepreneurship with so many inspiring comments. How do you take care of yourself nowadays?
In fact, this is a good question. As I have said until now, everything that I have said, I'm also applicating it in my life. So I'm paying attention for every behavior, for everything I think about, for every like moment that I spent. I'm trying to do spend my time wisely. But but there is also like a fact like this. Maybe like so much busy people, maybe like entrepreneurs, maybe people who have a big goal in his life. I want to give an advice, like we should go after what we are trying to do in our life. We should go after our goals. We should like get out of our comfort zones to be able to see what is our capacity, to know, to discover what we can really do. But we should not forget to have a safe place, to have a safe connection with yourself, where like if your soul is telling you to do something, sometimes you need to listen to yourself. If your intentions are telling you something, you need to listen to what your inner feelings is telling you. Like if you are feeling tired, you need to listen to yourself and take a rest, even though like if would be a busy day in your life. Because if you did not take this small rest for one day, maybe for today, it will make a huge bad impact on your maybe psychology, on your health, maybe in your health in the near future. You will see the bad impact of it in the near future. So we should not like forget to go after our feelings also.
What is your routine, Jim? You talked about routine. How does your day go?
In fact, I normally, as I said, like there is a big impact of exercising. I run in the morning. I run because it's like really releasing all the stress, all the negative thoughts that I had maybe from the day before. After that, like I'm telling you briefly, I shower, spend a lot some time with my family. Like we are having coffee every morning together, me, my mom, and dad, and then I go to my office and start to work. And it's usually meetings, and it's also like seeing my team, and we try to do new goals for the future of what peace therapist is going through. We are now doing like collaborations with many different places, as it's open also to B2B working method. And so I really also like to free some time of myself to develop new things that I really want to do in my life. Like I really like horses since I was a child. So now I'm going to horse riding course, and
Nice. Something that gives you joy, and that's this is so nice. Thank you for sharing that, Jen. And do you have anything special in the evening, or how do you end?
in fact, if I am not really busy, in fact, there is like some. I still continue to work at home, like, but my workspace only changed. I sit between like my family, sisters and brothers, mom and dad. I have a family which is like we are really so much related to each other. So they really even don't want me to work in the side room. They want me to work between of them, like my mom and dad, because like all the time I'm busy and things like that. They want to see me more, even though if I was working. Um, on the other hand, like sometimes there is some films and some books like I'm curious about. I'm reading.
Well, final question, Jen. What are your hopes and wishes for the future? I there's no limit, what sets your heart on fire to see in the world for more caring, more peaceful world?
Yeah, I think like you were so much close to the answer from the question. Like my hope, my wish is like to see a world more peaceful, see people who are like who can like live as they want to live, like because there is a lot of stricts in the life, and my biggest thing that I want to do in life, like because I was a refugee who had psychological problems, but I was lucky because of my family. I know there is a lot of refugees who would not be as lucky as me to have their parents, their families support, to be able to pass that psychological problem, because uh, they could like lost them in the war. So I want to be able to provide them this psychological support. That is what I am working on, peace therapists, providing this psychological support for free for refugees. For now, we are doing it for Syrian refugees, but in the future, I want like by adding new languages like psychological support for the Ukrainian refugees, psychological support uh, for all the refugees around the world. That is like my biggest goal that I am working on right now.
Jin, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate what you do for the world. Keep growing and spreading this, and this advice is you share really valuable, and really want to see more people like you. And my wish for the world is to be to live in a peaceful world. Where there is no single war. So that would be
Yes,
super nice, and sustain that in a natural way. But that's a lot of work, and obviously what you do is really helps. So thank you once again, and blessings to you
thank
and
you.
your work and your family.
Thank you so much for your nice words. Thank you so much for your kind invitation. And thank you also for Gemma for doing all the management things.
Thank you.